lay down your heart. First you lay down your hurt, right? Then you lay down your heart in that song. That's right. Lay down your heart, come as you are. I love that song. That's so good. You know, that's how everybody comes to God. Just how they are. You can't come any other way. You can try, but God knows better. So you might as well just come as you are. Amen? Oh, my goodness. So we've been reading this book, The Global Unity Through True Parents. This is the first book in Mother's Anthology. We've been reading this book every morning at 6 a.m. here at the church, and we're almost done, aren't we? We're on page 291. We just got just a little bit to go, and we're going to start book 2. Man, guys, I tell you, it's been rich. It has been for me. And when I see people that get up at 6 a.m. and come to church on Sunday or any morning, it's inspiring. Could you show that first clip, that first slide, please? Oh, okay. I didn't see it when I turned around. Okay, so we've all seen these pictures, most of us here. Picture on the left is, I guess, one of the earliest pictures that I know of True Father. There may be others. Picture on the far right is what came to be tradition for him, praying in a mountainside somewhere. I don't know where this is exactly, but I do know that that was the... I don't think that was just a tradition for True Father. I think it was a tradition for Koreans. Koreans like going into the mountains to pray. I showed up there one Sunday morning. Well, I didn't know it was Sunday morning. It was actually Saturday morning, and I was at one of our properties, and the elder Korean pastor came to pick us up, and I was in a suit, tie, wingtips. That's a pair of shoes for y'all that, anyway, pair of dress shoes. And this guy come to get me and two other brothers, and the two brothers showed up in sneakers, blue jeans, and a sweat, and like a kind of like a little windbreaker or something. He said, "Come on," and I'm like, I'm thinking we're going to church. And boy, we went down a back alley, and then another alley, and then we started up a trail. And we started climbing a mountain. And it was kind of a wet kind of day. And it had just rained the night before, so everything was still muddy, and I'm climbing up this mountain in a pair of wingtips. I wasn't doing too good. By the time when we got to the top of the hill, I mean, we were in it was kind of funny. We were in town, okay? And we just walked down a couple of streets, and now we're in it felt like we were in the country, and we're on top of this big, big hill, and people were exercising up there. They literally had this, like a plateau where there was I was so shocked. The next morning, the pastor came to get me, and so I was ready for him. The next morning, I had my leather jacket on, I had a T-shirt on, and a pair of blue jeans and sneakers. That day, we went to church. It must have been a holy day in Korea because everybody was wearing their holy gowns. I looked like some thug from, probably a good idea to learn Korean if you go to Korea. Because I'm sure he told us what we were going to do. I just didn't understand a word of it. But people in Korea, they like to pray. They like to pray in the mountains. They like to go up there in the wee hours of the morning and do it before they go to work. And it was in one of those days, that our True Father on Easter Sunday had this kind of an experience. Now, many of you have heard this story, but I've read it a few different from a few different perspectives. And I've heard the story told by people who Father had spoken to. You know, there's the story that Father told us. There's a story that gets shared with many, many people. And then there were like a few disciples of Father where he told the story and allowed them to ask questions, and he was able to elaborate a little bit further on the story. Story most of us hear is that Father went onto the mountain. He was praying. He was intensely praying because of the suffering of humanity, the suffering that he saw all around him, the suffering that he saw people going through in his hometown. Many of us know that he lost 5 of his siblings. And then he saw one day they unearthed his grandfather to rebury him in another place. And he saw his grandfather's bones. He said that day changed his life. It was just... And he was a young man. He was really young at the time. 15, I believe. And he said he went on to the mountain to pray on Easter, and he was asking God, why is there just so much suffering in this world? Why are people mean to each other? Why are some people so terrible? Why do they treat their fellow man so poorly, so terribly? Why, God? Why? Why do people hate one another? Why do people kill each other? Why is there so much pain and sorrow in this world? Why so much? I don't understand. I don't understand, God. I don't understand. If you're God, what's going on? I can imagine True Father having this prayer all night long, all morning. And then Father said, as he prayed, and I remember something about Father in his autobiography. He shares a story about, he's talking about how Christ would come to him. And he said, if I prayed hard enough, if I had a question, and I prayed hard enough, with the right amount of sincerity, right? Then Jesus would come to me, and he would answer my questions. But that implies, right, that if you don't pray hard enough, if you don't invest enough, if you don't pray with the right sincerity, then you don't receive the visit. That's what that implies. He didn't say it always happened. He said if I prayed hard enough, if I set enough condition, I prayed with the right sincerity, then Jesus would come to me. But if I didn't, I wouldn't get that visit. So this day, he was not only visited, he was visited with with the Spirit of Christ that told him, my understanding, the first revelation that Father received from Jesus was that God is suffering as well. God's heart is broken when he sees his children behaving in such a manner. Doesn't give God any joy. And unlike the popular thought, God isn't all-powerful in this particular area because he gave human beings free will. You don't have to love God. He doesn't force you to do so. You don't have to be good. He wants you to be. And he wants to be loved by you, and he does love you, but he doesn't force it. He doesn't force your will. And for this reason, God, a loving God, who's heartbroken when he sees his own children hating one another or killing one another. And this revelation alone, okay, brothers and sisters, from my understanding, Father at the age of 15, this revelation alone was enough to compel Father to dedicate his entire life to liberating the heart of God through the salvation of man, human beings. Dr. Gil Jassa came here And she wrote a book. And I read her book, and she also has an account of this story as well. How many of y'all read that account? Do you remember it? I do. Something that she said in her account was quite interesting. She said that Father went to the mountain, and Jesus said, if you're calling the pastor during, that just makes very little sense to me. Honey, can you turn this off for me or something? Or it's got to be a bill collector. It can't be a member. So she said that her give and take with Father on this story, when Father told this story to her, yes, he accounted the story like we just talked about it, but he said there was one portion of his story that he told her that was slightly different. Anybody remember what it was? I'll just tell you. She said that in the story that Father related to her, yes, he went to the mountain, and yes, he met Jesus, and yes, Jesus said, I want you to pick up my mantle and save humankind. I want you to do this. This is your mission. And Father said, I'm just a boy. What if I fail? And we all heard Father say no the first time, and then no the second time. The third time, Father said yes, right? The way she said it, though, was a little different. She said that Father said no and then left the mountain. It was a mountain that was really, it's near to his home. He went there often. So Father went back home, and I don't know about you, but my conscience bothers me sometimes, especially when I know I'm supposed to do something and I'm kind of put it like on hold, or if I've been asked to do something and I said no initially, but my conscience is saying, why? Why did you say no? You know that's the right thing to do. Oh, good Lord, if you're anything like me, that drives you nuts. According to my understanding, Gil-Jassah said, Father went home and his conscience did this to him. She said, Father went home and he was thinking, now if I say no, that means they have to pick somebody else. Jesus has to find another person, right, to say yes to this. What's his course going to be like? How difficult is it going to be for him? Will he survive? What about God and Christ? What about Jesus? What about God? What about them? What if he fails? Can I really lay this out at somebody else's feet? Is that right? Can I do that? Something so serious, something so important, can I put that off on another person? How can I do that? Knowing what I feel inside. Knowing how I feel about it. Can I really pass that on to somebody else and then not care about it? Father said he couldn't sleep all night. The next morning he raced back to the hill, back to the mountain where he had said no the day before, and he said there, in Gil-Jassah's story, she said when he got to the mountain, God was waiting on him. And Father said, I'll do it. And God said, you have to. I don't have anyone else. You're it. You're all I got. You're all I got. Oh. Okay. I was so struggling with what somebody else was going to have to suffer if I said no to you. Father said, you're it. You're the only one. So for 90, and Father became a Christian when he was 10. 15, he accepted a mission from Christ until he died. I heard him say, and Mother say, and others say, he never wavered in that determination. Recently, I heard Mother say something about Father's prayer. Especially his last prayer to God that we recorded. Most people don't even know how that took place. Actually, it was the two parents were in their suite room, and Father called for someone to bring him a recorder, a little digital recorder. He got the digital recorder, and he prayed into it to record his prayer. And if you listen to that prayer, Father's gasping for breath. It wasn't like he just walked up the hill or anything. He was just sitting at the end of his bed. And he had pneumonia. Praying like that. Father proclaims in that prayer that I have accomplished everything. In that prayer, you know what he called you and me? Anybody recall? Tribal Messiahs. Who said that? Tribal Messiahs. He said, we, us, you and I, tribal Messiahs, that we are going to claim the victory for God through our efforts. Victorious tribal Messiahs. Tells God it has all been done. It's all accomplished. Here's what Mother said just the other day. Seems like it was yesterday. Sitting at the table with Mother at breakfast time, she looked at us and she said, you know, Father's prayer, his final prayer, where he proclaims that it's all been accomplished. I've done everything. I've fulfilled everything, God. She said, you have to understand. Father knew that his time was short, and he was offering this prayer as a condition. I promised, true Father, she said. I promised. I gave my word to true Father that I would make that prayer a reality in my lifetime. That everything would be accomplished before I went to Spirit World. Then she told us, 76 years old. 10 years, I'll be 86 years old. How long do you think I have with you now on this earth? How long? Time is so precious. You don't have any time. Don't waste time. So we've been trying to, ever since Father went to Spirit World, we've been talking about this Vision 2020. For the last 4 years, we've been talking about Vision 2020. What that means. We've been saying, every Sunday morning, right? We have a motto that we're going to become owners of Chunoguk. We're going to practice love like our heavenly, parent, our creator. We're going to practice love as an owner of a Chunoguk. And we're going to resemble God by doing so. It's like we're making a declaration that we're owners of true love. And then when we practice true love, we resemble God, our creator. Mother said this is our motto for until 2020. So I got a question for y'all. Do y'all have any clue what we're pledging to? Do you know what Chunoguk's like? Do you know where Chunoguk is? It's a nation, right? It's got a national bird. It's got a national flag. It's got national flowers. Did you know that? What's the national bird of Chunoguk? Crane. What's the national flower of Chunoguk? There's two. The rose and lily. You've seen the flag, right? We have all the stuff that, all that. We have a people. What are we missing? nation. So that's why Mother's going around talking about restoration of a nation. We even have articles of Chanoguk. And you're citizens of Chanoguk. What is a citizen of Chanoguk? Who is that? And how do they behave? How does it operate, Chanoguk? How does that how does Chanoguk, the nation of Chanoguk, function? Any ideas? Does Chanoguk need church? I'm just curious. I'm hard of hearing now. You got to talk kind of loud in this auditorium because it kind of echoes around. God's kingdom. Well, what's that like? A lot of love. Does anyone cry in God's kingdom? Yes? You understand that if we don't know what the answers to some of these questions are, actually all of these questions are, if we don't understand these answers to these questions, we cannot make it a reality. Fair? I mean, seriously, is that fair? Who's going to build Chanoguk? Who's going to make Chanoguk? Who? Blessed families. How are they going to do that? Rev.Jackson, don't stop asking all these questions. You're supposed to answer them. Really, I mean, seriously, we got 1 year. Foundation Day, February, next year, to restore one nation under God. How are we going to do that if we're not clear? If we're not all on the same page? If we're not all working together? And what happens after 2020? I mean, surely we're not just working towards 2020. I plan on living a little longer than that. I don't know about y'all. I mean, what do we do after 20? What about 2021? What about 2025? What about 2030? Some of you guys will still be around. I might still be around 2035. What? Listen to what Mother says here. I want to read this. Well, okay. First of all, I guess I want to show you this picture. Okay. At the age of 16, earlier, but I'll just go with 16, she set her heart to put an end to God's suffering history of indemnity. The suffering history of indemnity. Mother told herself, I'm going to put an end to that in my lifetime. Can y'all even understand what kind of an outrageously crazy, impossible statement that is? Mother's basically determining that when she sets her course with True Father, that from this day I set my mind, my heart, and my soul, I'm convicted to do this one thing, which is to end the history of indemnity that's been causing so much suffering to God. This course of restoration. In other words, before I die, I'm going to create a world that is restored, and indemnity will no longer be required. A necessity for every human being. No more indemnity. Just heaven on earth, the way God meant it to be. Now, listen guys, even if you don't believe, even if you're not a believer in her or him or them, what she's talking about is a worthy thing. Creating a place, a space, a reality where there's no more course of restoration, because restoration is done. You've been restored to your rightful position, the person who you were born to be. You're no longer conflicted and divided. You're a man or a woman who's truly the embodiment of you're the embodiment of God, and you fully reflect God's beautiful character, His whole nature, His divine nature. No more indemnity. We've become so used to we have become so comfortable with indemnity. In the course of restoration, I don't know if we know how to live without it. Even you second gen, you think you want a life without it, but we keep doing the same old things. You first gen, everybody, all of us, it doesn't matter what generation it is, we keep doing the same old things. And those same old things cause us heartache and sorrow. What we need to do is we need to create, and listen, here's a real cool thing. If you're not serious about this, your life is going to be sorrowful, because you're just going to keep repeating the same old stuff over and over and over and over again, and not grow beyond it. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. I'm actually very, very serious. I mean, it's actually hard for me to I mean, I can smile, and I can laugh, and I can have fun, and that's all great. But you know what happens if we don't get this done now? If we don't take our responsibility seriously? More indemnity. Greater indemnity. I don't want greater indemnity. Greater indemnity is no fun at all. You know what I mean, right? We've all experienced greater indemnity, and I'm just going to say it. Greater indemnity sucks. Okay, nobody should, because it just prolongs history. Whose history? Mine, yours, ours. Our course it's prolonged, and it's no fun. It's not, Father used to tell us that indemnity is our friend. If we understood indemnity, then we would go forward and we would set indemnity conditions to remove fallen nature and solve these problems, and all that's true, right? But why not do it the first time around, right? Not 10 times around. Get it right. I feel like here's my understanding. My understanding from True Mother is right now we're in a different historical era. We're not like it was last year, 2 months ago. It's nothing alike, night and day. Listen to this story. Tribal Messiahship is what it's all about in Mother's mind right now. If you're not doing tribal Messiahship, you don't understand how important it is. Simple as that. Plain and simple. Okay? If you're a young person and you're not helping your parents do it, you don't understand how important it is. But you need to. And even if you don't understand it, help anyway, because trust me, it's important. Why? Mother said this. She said, she told us, you have two things to do. Fulfill tribal messiahship. If you will do this one work, this one thing, you'll be able to embrace Christianity and bring that foundation to true parents. By doing so, you will have victory, total victory in America. She said there's no such thing as victory in America without Christianity. Because that's the foundation that true parents need to come along. If they fail, then it means a whole nother course that we don't want to go. So, she said, and she's telling us, this is what I need you to do. And this one brother, so he's in Europe, this brother. He's a leader in Europe in a small town. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know, he's never done anything called tribal messiahship before. Not a thing. Doesn't have one blessing under his belt. Not one. And he's going, what do I do, God? It's like I'm hearing what true parents want me to do, but I don't know what to do. What do I do? So here's what he does. He goes to the cemetery. I don't know. I never heard of starting your tribal messiahship at the cemetery. He goes to the cemetery and finds 10 of the biggest names in town when they were alive. People who were movers and shakers on earth, but have gone to the spirit world. So what he does is he takes one of these books, and at each one of these graves, he reads for 10 minutes and then offers a prayer for that person. And then he goes to the next one. He found, actually it's 12, and he does this prayer. So he prays for each one of them. He does a 40-day condition. Nothing happens. Nothing. At the end of his condition, he goes to the first guy and he's praying. He's praying and he's reading, he's praying, he's praying and he's reading, and he gets an inspiration. Hey, look on the other side of my tombstone. So he goes to the other side of his tombstone, and he looks on the other side, and on the other side of the tombstone is this guy's descendants who are still alive. Thank God for Google, I want to Google these people, find out where they are. He walks, he get the first name, okay? He goes to the first name. I just heard a story the other day. It was crazy. He goes to the first name. He goes to the guy's front door. The guy opens up the door, sees him, and goes, oh my gosh, you don't know what's been happening here in the last 2 weeks. My grandfather has been driving me nuts from the spirit world. Right? He's been coming here every day telling us, get ready, get ready, get ready. Someone's coming. Who are you? What? Who? Oh, I'm the man he's talking about, of course. Come on in. So he comes in. This guy is really, he's a very influential person in this community, right? He has tons of high-level contacts. Immediately, he blesses half of his 430 through this one guy. He goes back to the cemetery. Starts looking on the back of everybody else's tombstone, right? 2 more people he has similar experience with. Their descendants that are on earth, he meets them, and they're having some kind of spiritual mumbo-jumbo going on with Papa or Grandma or Grandpa. And who are you? Nobody. Somebody. The guy you've been having dreams about, And he blesses his 430 like, boom, like that. But he doesn't just bless 430 people. He blesses 430 families through 3 individuals who are his spiritual children who study with him, join the church, and now their families are coming. Now he's got a tribe, a real legitimate tribe. Yeah. You know, why are we blessing all these people in the spirit world for anyway? Why are we doing that? So they can help us, of course. You know, there are tons of stories like this, testimony after testimony. I was in Las Vegas last week, and I'm thinking about tribal messiahship and what I'm going to tell you when I get back here, and I'm trying to figure out my names and stuff. I'm writing people down, and I got a whole family list of family folk and stuff that I blessed and so forth and so on, and I'm doing that. I go to bed one night. This was before the weekend. This is like a Friday night. No, I'm sorry. It was, like a Friday night. And I go to bed, and I have this dream. Okay, so it didn't feel like a dream. It feels like I'm getting haunted almost. You see the Christmas Carol and the three spirits at the visit dude? Kind of like that. How many of y'all know a brother named Ron Likens? He used to be a member here. Kind of my spiritual son. I kind of helped him to come back to the church. I mean, we did help him come back. Last year of his life, he finally came back again. He went to Las Vegas and handed out True Father's autobiography, came back home, and then like 2 months before Father passed to the spirit world, he died. Ron dies. Before Ron dies, I bless him to his wife, the mother of his children. So I bless him. I'm blessing this family. He wakes me up in the middle of the night and he says, Rev.Jackson, how come you haven't counted me yet? I'm sorry. Why haven't you put my name down? You didn't put my name down. You blessed me. Why am I not on your list? I'm sorry. I just forgot. Come on, man. Help me. Well, I don't know. Scared the daylights out of me. And he didn't scare me, but it's kind of scared me a little. You know, the way he was so strong. Why haven't you you haven't put my name down. You haven't counted me. I'm sorry, Ron. I just didn't remember. His visit reminded me of 3 others just like him that we've blessed and who've gone to the spirit world. And I can feel them saying, well, you don't remember me. It's not the same. What I'm trying to say, it isn't the same as it was last week. That testimony is going to be different. It isn't like it was last year or the year before that or the year before that. You did the same things then, no results. You do that today, you're going to find some results. You ask God to move, you ask the spirit world to help, you're going to get some support. We had a sister in this community tell me that she hadn't been able to do any blessings. She was really struggling about that. She wanted to. She really wanted to, but she hadn't had a chance to go out. Just for one reason. You know how we are. I'm too busy. I got work. I got kids. I got this. I got that. You just pick one. There's about 1 million of them, right? And they're all legitimate. And they're not excuses, they're facts. I do have kids, I do have to clean, I do have this, and I do have that, and I do have church, and oh my God, I'm a church leader, what am I going to do? I have no time, I got to go here, I got to go there, what am I going to do, God? I got all of them too, and I make them. I can make them, I'm the leader, right? I got all kinds of reasons to be busy. And so, I'm like, she's telling me, I've just been doing that, and I haven't been able to go out. But finally, I just determined that I'm going to go to my friend's house in the morning, and I'm going to share the blessing with her. She said, so I prepared some cookies, and I prepared the holy wine, and I prepared this, and I prepared that. And I just said, I'm going. She went, and she said, and she's got like a group, there's a group of people that she meets every week, and she's been meeting them for 10 years. They don't know anything about her like this, right? So she knocks on her friend's door, 10-year-old friend. Knocks on her door. The door opens up, and her friend that she came to bless is there, and 5 other friends are in the room with her having coffee or tea. And she's like, ah! Kind of like that, right? Because it's terrifying. She was afraid to go bless the one. Now all of them, they're there, already waiting for her. So she sits down, and she tells them, well, why are you here? Well, geez. Well, you know, did I tell you that I'm going to Korea and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this UPF thing and it's really fun and it's all exciting? And they're like, really? Tell us more about that. And so she tells them about that, and then she realizes they're all really interested, genuinely interested in what she's doing. And then one thing rolls around to another. She's talking about her faith. She's talking about father. She's talking about mother. She's talking about, and they're like all in, checked in, you know. Whoa, really cool, awesome. These are very white, very conservative, you know, Christian folk, right? She's saying, I don't know. And then she said, well, I came over to offer you this blessing. Okay, and they all line up. Give me that holy wine. I'm ready to do this thing and take it, you know, indemnity stick and stuff. She said, yoo-hoo, I did it. It was amazing. She said, now I found out that one of my friends, is a Christian girl who's, you know, Protestant Christian who's married to a Mormon. Right? You don't, on both sides, okay? So because one's a Protestant Christian and the other's a Mormon, the Mormons are upset with the Mormon kid and the Christian Protestants are upset with the Christian, they you know, taboo stuff. And so she said because of that, there's a lot of Christian Protestants who've married Mormons and they've created their own group. Everybody thinks they're in some kind of strange thing, but they love each other. And so we're working together and doing this and doing that, and our group is doing these good works in our community. But like you guys, we get a little persecution sometimes. From her group or mine, right? She said, I never knew this about my friend. No, she's never shared, never. But because I was able to share with her about my faith, she was able to open up about her course as well. Now we feel like, you know, blood sisters. And she's just telling me this testimony. So, I mean, I just got this testimony 2 days ago. She said, and it was my icebreaker blessing. And then in parentheses, she said, overcoming my fear. So I'm going to close with a couple things. I want to encourage every one of you to do a couple things. Number one, find somebody who's already going out, who's doing these blessings. Partner with that person. Create trinities. Gain strength by supporting someone. And then, by not only will you gain strength, you're going to be inspired. I promise you, you will be inspired. Did anybody know? Raise your hands if you blessed 430 already. Raise your hand. Raise it higher than that and keep it up. Okay, come on. If you bless 430, 430 couples, look at this. Come on, everybody, give these guys a hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you blessed over 200. Raise your hand. Oh. Come on. Okay, raise your hand if you blessed over 40. 40. 40. I know there are more of you in here than that. What are y'all so shy? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. I know. She's just, why are you being so shy over there? Give these guys a hand. I promise you, if you just go out and bless one, it's the first step. Not 20, not 50, just one. Mrs. Danny Aguilar's wife, Mrs. Aguilar, are you in the room? Yeah. She brought a guest she met the day before, right? You met them the day before, right? And they came to last night's program, right? And they received a blessing. Hallelujah. The thing I'm trying to tell you is there's some people in the community that are doing this stuff, and it's kind of multiplying right out. And I've noticed it. You got to understand, Mother has told us clear as a bell, this is every single tribal Messiah's responsibility. And she's asking us to finish this work by Foundation Day 2020. Everyone's. Every blessed family's responsibility. If you're second gen, we got asked this question, does second gen have to do this? The answer was, actually, no. You don't have to do the tribal Messiah 430. However, you can help your parents. This one kid at TribeNet, you know what he did? He said, my mom went out and did the 430, but she's really I'm tech savvy, but she's not. So she didn't even know how to put in the data. He said, but I was able to do it for her. So I didn't really go out with her or anything, but he said, but because I was able to share this part, do this thing for her, I played my part. I did my part. And I feel really good that I was able to help my mom. And then he said, but more than that, he said, I didn't understand tribal messiahship until I went to my mom's hometown. He said, I was going to go to Chungcheong, but Chungcheong got shut down for a while because of some virus, right? They didn't let anybody go for a while. Remember that? When they shut the... Okay, during that time, he had a ticket to go to the east, so he went to China instead, stayed a month in China. When he arrived in China, he said, I didn't even know where I was going to go. Just I went because my mother said go. He said, the moment I arrived in China, some guy that my mother knew drove 4 hours to come pick me up at the airport. I stayed in his home, and from home to home I went, all people who loved my mother. He said, and then I came back home, and I didn't realize what happened until one day I read some of True Mother's words, and she said, True Mother said, that it's the responsibility of the spiritual children to take care of your children too, to care for your children. He said, when I read that, I realized that's what had happened to me when I went to China. These people respected my mother so much. They're not even family. But because they had so much respect for my mother, so much love for my mother, what my mother's done for them, they cared for me. I showed up in China. I left a month later, and he said, I showed up with $300 in my pocket, and I left with $150 left in my pocket. They wouldn't even let me buy my own food. And he said, and then I realized what tribal messiahship's all about. These are people who love my mother so much that they took care of me like I was their own. I became family to them. They weren't about to let me go wanting. And he said, that's when I realized how powerful this stuff is. Imagine if we just started. Don't worry about 430. I think thinking about 430 is a big problem, because if you think, I got to do 430, you're not going to do anything, because it sounds so daunting. Don't worry about 430. Just do one. Just one. And you're going to have an amazing experience. I promise you will. You're going to experience something cool, amazing, new. People are going to, Naomi, you told me about that lady who met you at the apartment, right? She moved out of her apartment and she saw you, open the door, saw Naomi, and just start bursting into tears. Oh, there you are. Oh, my God, thank you. Why? Because she felt so blessed by her. So many stories about how God is moving in these people's lives. Prayer. They were praying about how God help our marriage. God help our marriage. And then there's a knock on the door. I'm here to bless your marriage. Like that. You know, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard like this. I really, join TribeNet. Doesn't cost anything to join TribeNet. If you want to become a My Tribe subscriber, you get all kinds of back office stuff, the stuff that'll help you do what you want to do. And the moment you start listening to those calls, you get inspired. Laura Hornbeck told me that those calls is where she has the best church of the week on TribeNet calls on Tuesday evening. She said, sometimes, it's so far away. Church is so far away from me. I can't go every week. But there I can find a place where I get spiritually nourished and inspired. I want to do this for God. I want to do this for our fellow man. I want to do this for true parents. We don't have much time. And I'm asking you to join with me to do it. We can just take care of each other, help each other, support each other. We can just help each other. If I get over 430, I'll give some to you. That's what we should do. It's not about me. It's about them. We need to help each other. So what inspired me so much about this sister here, Mrs. Todd. She starts going out, then she brings somebody out with her. Then she brings somebody new out with her. Then she's bringing somebody new out. Then she's going out with, she's 5 or 6 sisters going out with this lady now. Not enough days in the week for her to do it all. She does it only a couple hours a day. And then she inspires other people. And then some people got courage on their own to go out. Now they're going out with other people too. Awesome. This is our sacred duty, our sacred honor. Just this morning. I'll leave you with this because I realize this morning we read this. This is on the first book, which we're reading, page 281. And this is what it says. Accomplishing Vision 2020, our first step. It's our first step. It's not the end. It's the first step. I understand that all of you who have come here are doing your best on the front line. It is true that my heart becomes increasingly serious with each passing day as we still have many responsibilities to achieve. That's the true mother that I see every time I go to Korea now. Someone who sent, this was offered in 2013, was it? Or 14? It was like really a lot earlier than I thought. And so here's my point. Every day, she says, I'm increasingly more serious. The last time I saw Mother, I can't tell you how intense that experience was for me. I felt a determination or seriousness that was off the charts. She really wants to make it work here. She told us she believes that we can really restore this nation. And I believe we can too. But we have to do it together. We can't do it alone. It can't be 1, 2, 5-man show, 6-man. It's got to be us working together. I'm asking you guys to believe. And if you believe, I'm asking you to take a step out in faith. Work with me. And let's offer this victory to true parents. Amen? Let's pray. Heavenly Parent, thank you. Thank you for our true parents. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you, Heavenly Parent, for our families. And our family, this church family that I'm looking at today, this family that is here every Sunday. They come when they're called all the time. I really offer you my total heart of gratitude, Heavenly Parent, because I feel this community is much healthier than many. Of course, I know we have growing to do, and I know there's places we need to develop, and I understand that, Heavenly Parent. But I feel like we got a heads up. We got a head start on many other places. And I feel, Heavenly Parent, that the heart is right here. Brothers and sisters, young and old, they just want to create a better place. A better place for their friends, a better place for our church, a better place for our members, a better place for new members, a better place, Heavenly Parent, where your love is sovereign, where you can love people through us. Oh my God, we want to do that so bad, Heavenly Parent. So help us older guys to sometimes get out of the way. Help the younger people step up into leadership. Help all of us, Heavenly Parent, to become tribal messiahs, the ones you called us to be, to help our neighbors, to live for the sake of others. Help us, Heavenly Parent, to believe again, to really know that we want this kingdom of heaven we've been preaching and teaching about and talking about for ages. That it's right at our fingertips. Help us, Heavenly Parent, to see it. Open our eyes, open our ears, open our hearts to believe again. Give us courage to go out again. And help us through a neighbor, through a friend who's already working. Help us to connect to them. Nobody wants to make anything weird or anything strange, Heavenly Parent. Everybody, we don't want to look. We want the world to see us and look at us with a desire to be like us. I want to be like these two young men who came from Korea with so much passion that they want to witness to in another place, they made that kind of much effort. Because their conscience wouldn't allow them just to do the same old, same old. Help us, Father, to be able to live this life and do the things that we must hear, but also take time to love others and to reach out to make a difference in other people's lives. Help us live larger. Help us to believe bigger and dream bigger. Give us your eyes to see. Give us your heart to feel. Move our hearts, Heavenly Parent. Help us, whatever that is that they need. Help us to be there for each one of them and each other. We're grateful to you, Heavenly Parent, and to our true parents. And we're grateful for this church family. So many brothers and sisters to whom we love and care for. Thank you for putting us in this place. And I pray, Heavenly Parent, that our presence will make it better for others to come. I offer this prayer to you in the Jackson family name, the blessed Central family. Out you. Thank you, everyone.